Robert Kiyosaki. Mr. Kiyosaki, do you remember what was your first business?
Well, I've had a lot of businesses, a lot of first businesses, but my first one was my little, I was making money out of toothpaste tubes. So
Toothpaste?
When I was a young boy, the toothpaste came in lead tubes.
Yeah.
So we'd melt them down, and I put it in plaster of Paris, and I was making quarters, dimes, and nickels. I found out that it was
Good
illegal.
Start.
Yeah.
Bit illegal.
Illegal,
Yeah.
and I found out what counterfeiting is, and
Yeah,
I learned
yeah.
a lot.
Yeah. How old were you? 9?
Yeah, about 9.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Was it your childhood dream to be rich once?
I don't know if it was my dream. I was more curious.
Yeah.
I kept having the question, how come they're rich and I'm poor?
Yeah.
Why are they rich? Why am I poor? And I always wanted to know why, and nobody could tell me. And my parents, who were I'm fourth generation Japanese American to Hawaii, and the Japanese, believed you had to go to school. You had to go to school, get good grades. And so when I said, well, how do I be rich? He said, well, I go to school. And I said, wait a minute. All of my uncles and my aunts and my grandfather and my father and my mother, they all went to school. They're still poor. So I knew there was something missing in school. And then my friends, most of them were white guys. I'm Asian, they're white. And they owned the plantations.
Yeah.
And I said, they know something I don't know. I work for them, do you know? And I started hanging out with the rich white guys, and they didn't know either. None of them knew. They just were rich. So you go to school, you don't get rich, you hang out with rich guys, they don't know why they're rich. And that's when I met my rich dad. I said, somebody could teach me. So at 9 years old, my rich dad began to teach me. And I was just curious.
So your most famous book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, is based on real characters.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
So the rich dad was the dad of your schoolmate?
My best friend, yes.
Yeah. And the poor dad was
my dad.
Your dad. Yeah.
My dad, for Japanese, was very tall. He was 6'4".
I see.
And he was a PhD. He graduated from his first school in only 2 years. 4-year school he did in 2 years. And then he was the head of education, and then he ran for governor of the state of Hawaii. So he was a political person, very smart, academic, political. And my rich dad was an entrepreneur and a scoundrel. So I learned from both dads.
Have you been a good student?
To both dads, yes.
What would your father say if you would see how wonderful your business is today? Was he still alive when you published the book?
No.
No. What would he say?
I had to wait 5 years after my father died to publish the book, because if I had published the book when he was alive, he would have died earlier.
Yeah.
So I waited 5 years. Both my poor dad died, then my rich dad died. And I was now rich. I was not rich. I'm not like a Donald Trump or anything like that. I just never had to work again for the rest of my life, and money was still coming in. So I thought I'd best write how I did it. And so I was sitting and writing and said, just thinking. And also I had a rich dad and I had a poor dad, and the book just started to come out.
Yeah. Is it true that the publishing houses didn't want to publish it?
That's correct.
So you had to publish it yourself?
Yes, I did.
What a lucky day.
Well, even though my father was a PhD,
Yeah.
very smart man, and head of schools, I was always flunking out of school because I can't write. And so, and so when I wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad, the publishers are all very smart people. They said, you can't write. And I said, well, you sound like my teachers. So I self-published the book, and that was in 1997. I said, okay, I've done my job. I've told people how I did it. I was already a rich man. I said, so I'm going to do something else. And I was in Australia in the year 2000, and the book has been just moving along the world by itself. People go, hey, you got to read this book, you got to read this book, word of mouth advertising. And then in 2000, I was in Australia, and Oprah called. And Oprah, my wife says, hey, Oprah Winfrey called. And I go, yeah, so what? She says, she wants you on the program. I said, well, I'm out, I'm having fun in Australia. And she says, when Oprah calls, you come home. So, so I flew all the way from Australia to Chicago.
Yeah.
And nobody knew who I was, you know. And they put me in the green room, you know, put makeup on me. I'm going, what's happening? And they take me into the studio, and I look up on the stage. There's just 2 chairs, just like this. I go, 2 chairs? And all of a sudden it hit me. 1 chair was for Oprah, and 1 chair was for me.
Yeah.
So in the year 2000, my book was already a bestseller,
Yeah.
New York Times bestseller. So I sat down with Oprah, and my whole life changed. And suddenly I became famous. You know, everybody said, who are you? I said, well, no, I just popped up here.
It's quite unbelievable.
Yeah.
If you think about 10 minutes discussion with Oprah.
It was 1 hour.
Yeah.
She gave me 1 hour. And it was the greatest gift she could have. She was a great person.
Yeah.
Greatest gift. At the end of the program, I'm going, she goes, bye. I said, you know, and she says, hey, I just sold 1 million copies of your book. And I went, wow. And I make $5 a book.
Yeah.
I said, I just made $5 million in 1 hour? That's the most money I've ever made.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, and then from there, because her show is syndicated, as you know, that it went all over the world. And today the book is in, I think, 100 languages or 50 languages, whatever it is, and it's still selling.
Yeah. When we go back to your young years, you served during the Vietnam War as a pilot of a helicopter?
Yes.
Gunfighter helicopter or something? Yeah.
Yes.
You don't talk very often about this experience. Was it painful?
It wasn't painful from anything else, but so I went twice. I went once in 1966 as a student because I went to military school. So I went to study the Vietnam War from cargo operations for ships. Then in 1972, I went back as a pilot, and so I was more grown up. And I saw war as this horrible. It wasn't about America, you know, and da 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 da. It was about money. And I couldn't fight anymore, you know. So even though I had a good career as I could have gone all the way through and all this, I said I choose not to fight anymore. Yeah. So it wasn't painful from war. I lost a lot of friends, but I had to question being an American. That's what I had to question.
Yeah.
So I still live in America. I pay my taxes. I respect what they do, but I work for peace in my way, you know. And if money causes war, then money can also stop war. Yeah. And the greatest cause of war is actually poverty. And so that's why I work to teach people how to take care of themselves, because poverty is spreading throughout the world. It's spreading, you know. And when there's poverty, then there's discontent, and then there's war. And so throughout history, every time there has been poverty or a crisis, dictators arise. So back a few years ago, Napoleon came up through this area. There was also a guy Milosevic. There was also Mao Zedong, Adolf Hitler, Joseph Stalin. You know, that's what concerns me today in this crisis. America is broke, it's bankrupt. England may go next. France may go next. China may go next. And that'll spread poverty even greater, which will cause a greater gap between the rich and everybody else. In America today, we have a middle class, but it's going down very fast. They're all becoming poor. And Obama thinks the way you end poverty is give people money. That's never worked. You know, you don't give people money. You have to teach people. And so our school systems don't teach us anything about money, so poverty keeps increasing. So the beautiful thing about the Czech Republic is you guys know what communism is like.
Oh, yeah.
And so
you
you're
still
moving.
remember, some of us.
Yes.
Some of us still remember. Some of us seem to have forgotten.
Yes. So you're moving from communism to capitalism, hopefully, that last election you had and all this. America, since they've never known what communism is moving from capitalism to communism.
Do you think so?
Oh, yes. And that's why Obama's taken over our businesses, taken over this, state-controlled. He took over General Motors, taken over the banks. You know, I mean, that's communism.
Yeah.
He's a good man. I don't make him, you know, he's from Hawaii. but he was raised on government welfare.
Yes. Yeah.
He never had a job. He's never run a company. Now he runs the world.
Could you even today fly a helicopter?
No.
No.
I wouldn't want to.
Yeah. When we think about, let's say that every person on the earth would get your books. They would follow your advices and rules. Everyone becomes rich. So where will be the poor? Can you imagine a world full of rich people?
Yeah, it's theoretically possible.
Yeah, is it?
Not realistically possible.
Yeah.
I think the most important thing we have to do is we have to convert to solar power as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Because what keeps people poor is guys like me selling oil all the time.
Yeah.
You know, as soon as there's solar power, there will be more wealth on planet Earth. There'll be less destruction, less environmental damage. But there are people who don't want solar or wind or tidal energy to come in. And as soon as that happens, there'll be greater wealth. Right now, it costs too much money to live. You know, it costs too much money to drive a car. You know, oil affects everything. Affects food, affects clothing, lights.
Your first company was the one who invented the wallet for surfers. How did you come to this idea?
It was my first big company. I had a lot of small companies, but my first big company, when I went to military school in New York, and I was a sailor. So we were at one time the #1 sailing school in the nation. And when you take a leather wallet out onto the water, the leather wallet gets old and crinkly. So we used to get old sails that were destroyed, and we would sew nylon wallets. And so we just, and I used to go around and show my nylon with bright colors, you know, yellow and red and green and all. And people would go, well, where'd you get that? So I made it. And so then we started making them. And we went into business. And we started having the wallets made in Taiwan and Korea. And all of a sudden the business took off. And I was in my 20s, just about to turn 30, and I became a multimillionaire. You know, all this money was pouring in. And the money went straight to my head. You know, I thought I was really smart. You know, I'm rich, I'm young, you know, and all this. So my two partners and I were three guys, all single, you know, lots of money. Then we started dating beautiful women, driving fast cars, and the business went boom.
Yeah. So it ended as bankrupt?
No, I never declared bankruptcy, but I lost $1 million.
I think that's a good lesson for a businessman, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You see, the difference between a school teacher and an entrepreneur. In school, they punish you for making mistakes.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurs know you're not going to learn anything unless you make a mistake. So I've made so many mistakes. I mean, last year I made a lot of mistakes. But each mistake I make, I get smarter. It's like standing up and falling down, standing up and falling down. It's like learning a language. You know, you make a lot of mistakes. It's like riding a bicycle. It's like flying a plane. You make a lot of mistakes. And hopefully you live through it.
Yeah. In 2007, you wrote a book together with Donald Trump. Did you argue together?
No.
No?
No.
You had the same opinions about everything?
Very much. See, he had a rich dad, I had a rich dad.
Yeah.
We both went to military school.
Yeah.
We both are entrepreneurs. We both write books. We both have television shows. And we both have real estate.
Yeah.
Same people.
How did it in practice look that you had a meeting and sat together by a computer, or you were just sending files from one to another?
I would meet in his office in New York about once a month, and we just discuss it doesn't take long. He goes, what about this? It's fine. Either yes or no. It's good. Let's do it. I agree. Do it. He's very fast.
Very fast.
He is just like he is on TV. He is no different. He's a very good man. I mean, a good man.
Yeah.
Yeah. He is what you see. You know, he'll tell you straight, right to your face. He does not mince around. He keeps his agreements. He's a character. He's always poking fun at me.
Did you expect that something like this huge crisis we are going through now, I mean the economical crisis,
Yes.
Did you expect something like this is going to come?
Yes.
Yeah.
People know it happens all the time.
Yeah.
This one's a very big one, a very bad one. But it happens every time. Like in 1971, President Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you look at from 1970 to 2000, America just boomed because we're just printing money.
Yeah.
You know, you buy anything you like, print money. Well, it crashed. And now they're still trying to print more money, but I don't think it's going to work.
Mm.
So that's why you watched it in 2000, the price of gold was $275 an ounce. And today it's $1,200 an ounce, $1,000 gain, you know. I made a lot of money. But anyway, I just don't trust the government, period. I'm not saying they're good or bad people. I just don't think they're very good with money. So, as you all know.
Yeah.
They're like my poor dad, very intelligent, well-educated, poor people, you know.
Is this a right time to start a company?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah? In these turbulent days?
Well, the thing is, you see, when people, you know, economies go up, economies go down, we might go into a depression worldwide. You know, like I said, France is in very big trouble. Germany's okay. England's in big trouble. China's in trouble. So if we go that, we go to a worldwide depression, and it might take 10 years, you know, to come out of it. But during these times, this is the best time. I have made more money in the last 3 years than ever before in my life. You know, I bought five golf courses last year out of bankruptcy.
That's impressive.
Yeah. Well, the bank.
Courses.
Yeah, Donald bought 10. They're giving them away.
No one told me.
Yeah, but you have to know how to operate them. You know,
Yeah.
you have to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So the banks just call you up and they say that there was 5 golf courses and 1 hotel.
In the States?
In Arizona, yeah, Golf Mecca, you know.
Arizona.
And this Japanese company had it, and they asked me if I wanted to buy it about 5 years ago for $260 million. And I said, does it make sense? You know, it doesn't make sense at $260 million. So they told me I didn't know what I was doing. They said, okay, buy. And then this 1 year ago, this summer, the Citibank called up and says, you want those golf courses? And they gave me the money to buy them because I can operate it.
Sounds really quite incredible.
Yeah, so now I'm a professional.
But the maintenance is high.
No, but that's operations.
Yeah,
It's like anything else. It's business. This is expensive.
Yeah.
You have to know how to operate.
It's funny that the whole life of yours goes around the money. Money is the subject. Your sister is a Buddhist nun?
Yes.
That's quite a difference. What does she say about your books? Is she interested in? Because I guess a Buddhist nun, is she interested in business or in financials?
She's one of the only women ordained by the Dalai Lama. She's a very powerful woman. And she always had those religious ideas that money was not important.
Yes.
Then she had cancer, and she had no money. In America, there's no health insurance for it.
Yeah.
So she had to call me up, and I had to write her a check. Otherwise, she'd die.
Yeah.
And then she had heart disease. So I had to write her a check. And then she began to realize that she was taking care of God, but she wasn't taking care of herself. And she hadn't taken care of her finances. And so today, she now comes to me for classes, and I'm teaching, and she has her own website now, and you know, she's becoming a little entrepreneur. So I think that's one of the biggest problems is too many religious people think the love of money is the root of all evil.
I wouldn't take it that way, but what is the fact that one day all the rich dads and the poor dads are going to pass away, and they are not allowed to take any suitcase on board. So shouldn't we invest in something which we could take with us when the day comes?
Yeah, but see, you know, I don't know what the heck with people think about money, but that's what I get a lot of is kind of this, well, you know, money's not spiritual. I'm just saying it's your attitudes, you know, a person's attitude towards money. I make a lot of money, but I give a lot, you know what I mean?
Definitely.
It goes to biblical principle: the more you give, the more you receive. So when I meet somebody who's doesn't have any money, it just means they're not giving something.
Yeah.
You know, so a lot of times there's people who would like more, but they're not giving anything.
Yeah.
So they're like my poor dad. You know, he belonged to the labor unions, and he wanted to work less and get paid more. Well, that's anti-religious to me.
Yeah.
If you want to get paid more, work more, give more. That's how I see it.
Well, thank you very much for sharing your time with us.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.